Hey everyone, just want to go over the five basic types of reactions. There's some clues that you can look at when looking at a chemical reaction to determine what type of reaction it is. This is a cheat sheet that is under your toolkit, which is already uploaded to Google Classroom, so you can print it off if you want. If you don't have the capabilities, you may just have to reference back to it whenever you can. If you look at it here on this cheat sheet, I have highlighted the five different types of reactions. Going over there quickly, that we have synthesis, decomposition, single replacement, combustion, and double replacement reactions. So, starting with synthesis reaction, this is also known as a combination or a composition reaction. It is bringing two elements and bringing them together as one. So here is this the general form where A and B are elements and then A, B together is a compound. So you're taking two elements, element A, element B, and sandwiching them together into one compound. So if you see this in a reaction where you have two elements and you're taking them and combining them, that is going to indicate a synthesis reaction. Going on to the next type of reaction is decomposition. When things decompose, they break apart. So here you can see the general form is we start with AB together as a compound, and then we breaks it apart into element A and element B. Okay, so if you start with only a compound, it's going to be decomposition because that's the only thing that you can do is take a compound and break it apart. That's all you can do. In the first one, we started with two elements, and we're going to combine them. The third type of reaction is single replacement. So in a single replacement reaction, we have an element and a compound to start out with. If you want to think of this as a dance, and we have a single gentleman at the dance, he is element A, he is single by himself. And also going to the dance, we have a compound here, B, X. B is a boy and X is a girl. They're going as a couple to the dance together. And maybe at the dance, B is not a very good dancer. He might dance like I do, who knows. But you can see that B gets replaced by A. So here again, we started with element A by itself. BX is a compound. So element and a compound, and we have a compound and element in the products side of the chemical reaction also. So B is getting replaced. One thing is getting replaced. That's why it's called a single replacement. B went to the dance with a girl. B is no longer bonded with anything. It's by himself. So if that makes sense, that is a single replacement reaction. Combustion reaction is easy to identify. You start with a hydrocarbon. Remember, hydrocarbon is some carbon, some hydrogen. It will always contain oxygen as a reactant. You need oxygen in order to support combustion. And the products are always CO2 and H2O. The fifth and final type of reaction is a double replacement reaction. And you can see that double replacement reaction, you actually start with two compounds, AX and BY, and you end with two compounds. I call this wife swap. If you watch the TV show or if you know what that is, it kind of helps you understand what's going on here. So we have two couples and they switch spouses. Whether it's they switch wives or husbands, doesn't really matter how you look at it. But you can see that A was bonded with X. A is now bonded with Y. Y was the other part of the compound. You can only switch one thing. You can't switch both because then you don't switch anything. So you can see here A and B are still the first element in the reactant and the product. A and B are written first. X and Y have just switched spots. So I don't know if I'm able to use this drawing tool or not. I'll try this. A and X have switched spots. Yeah, this is a little more difficult than I thought it was. And you can see there are not A and X, but X and Y have switched spots. And you can see they have their new spot over here. So I know there's a lot of other information on this sheet. We're going to get to that next week. But right now I want you to be able to look at a reaction and determine whether it's a synthesis reaction, decomposition, single replacement, combustion, or double replacement. Looking at this worksheet, we're just going to do a couple of these example problems together to try to get you through the mindset of what we should be looking for to determine what type of reaction we are dealing with. So looking at question number 1, we start with potassium chlorate. Potassium chlorate is a compound. There is only one type of reaction on your reaction cheat sheet that starts with a compound. So look through those. Is it synthesis? Is it decomposition? Is it single replacement? Is it combustion? Is it double replacement? Which one starts with a compound? There's only one of them. If you're looking at the right one, you should be looking at decomposition. Decomposition starts with a compound and it breaks it apart. And you can see here we start with the compound and then we break it apart into two different things here. Question number 2. We start with potassium bromide, compound. Fluorine, element. What type of reaction starts with a compound and an element? Go through the 5 that you have on your cheat sheet. Which one starts with a compound and an element? If you're looking at the correct one, you should see that single replacement elements or reactions start with a compound and an element. So this is single replacement. Question number 2 is. Number 3. We start with 2 single elements on number 3. What type of reaction starts with 2 single elements? If you're looking at your cheat sheet, you should be looking at synthesis at the very top. You're taking 2 elements and you're combining them together into one compound. That is a synthesis reaction. Question number 4. We start with sodium sulfate and lead 2 nitrate. These are both compounds. What type of reaction involves 2 compounds to start with? If you're thinking about the correct one, you should be looking at double replacement, the very bottom one. We start with 2 compounds, and we end with 2 compounds also. Question number 5. We start with a hydrocarbon, in this case propane. We have oxygen, we have CO2, we have H2O. What type of reaction involves a hydrocarbon, oxygen, CO2, and H2O? If you are correct, you would have chose combustion reaction. Number 6, we start with an element and a compound. What type of reaction starts with an element and a compound? If you're looking at your cheat sheet, you should be looking at single replacement reaction. Number 7, we start with a compound and then another compound. We already had one of these on the worksheet. Same as number 4. We started with 2 compounds. So therefore, this is also double replacement reaction. The last one, number 8, hydrocarbon, oxygen, yields CO2 and H2O. Once again, this is like number 5, where it starts with a hydrocarbon. Therefore, it is combustion. I hope this helps, and if you need to do more practice, there's all kinds of practice online, but if you have questions, please get a hold of me sooner than later.